Hi everybody, Dan Young here with Dan's Millionaire Code podcast, and every week I bring you an amazing Jedi, young, old, male, female, doesn't matter. I bring you someone who's got some serious metachlorians flowing through their neuro system. Remember, there's no sponsors or anything on this podcast. You don't have to buy anything. This is how myself and guests virtually mentor you and give back. And the cool thing about this is everybody on the show is not theoretical. They're actually action in play. So you're going to learn a lot of things they don't actually teach you in college and high school and those kind of things here face to face today. I'm super excited about today's guest. So let me just give you a quick briefing. He's my good friend and entrepreneurial force of nature, Bridger Pennington. Bridger's founder of Black Bridge Capital, a privately run debt fund that's done over 290 deals in 38 states over the last 2 years. He also runs Investment Fund Secrets, which is incredible. I'm watching all your videos, bro. It's crazy. And you guys, I'll send a link here so you guys can watch all those too. And he helps other people start their own funds as well. So stuff that you may believe you may learn with Ivy League credentials and things like that and Wall Street and all that, he's going to actually give you kind of the fast forward that and save you probably like a decade of your life, right?
Yeah, that's what we try to do, yeah.
He's an equity fund Jedi. His father is a great friend of mine who's raised over like $20 billion. Incredible, amazing equity fund. And so the DNA flows in your blood. Let me ask you a quick question here. And so Bridger, welcome.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, good to be on.
Welcome.
Yeah.
So you not only have your own private equity fund, you teach people how to start their own funds. Tell us what the heck a private equity fund is and kind of how that works.
Yeah, good question. That's probably right where we should start, right? A lot of people don't know what a fund is. So we talk about, and I have a show, and we have content, like you mentioned, about funds. And a fund in the most basic format is a pool of money that investors can put money into that pool, and then us as fund managers, or you as a fund manager, can draw from that pool of money and go invest into X, Y, or Z. You could be building computers with that fund. You could be buying real estate. You could be like a private equity company. You could be buying up private businesses. You know, you get like Pier 1 Imports just got bought by a private equity firm.
Whoa.
Victoria's Secret, a lot of these companies, Caesar's Palace is owned by a private equity company.
Really?
A lot of these, ADT, Caesar's Palace, Claire's is all owned by one company.
Whoa.
So that's what's happening. This kind of behind the scenes, these big brother, I guess, or bigger picture person are these funds. You hear hedge funds. That's usually funds that are trading. They have a pool of money. They just trade public securities. They're trading on the New York Stock Exchange or Forex markets. So, basic terms, that's what a fund is.
Wow.
And it's an incredible vehicle to just scale whatever you want to do. So if you have an idea and the only thing stopping you is money, a fund is a really good way to scale your business idea.
That's pretty cool. So your dad and I are friends, and since you were a small child, he's taught you about funds.
Yeah.
And so you've got a blueprint for that, and you started your own fund. Tell us about your fund.
Yeah. So it was funny. Yeah, kind of funny story. I actually grew up. So you mentioned my dad as $10 fund, did very well in this world. I didn't know that growing up. We lived in a very middle class house. My dad drove a crappy car. I just knew he was an entrepreneur. That's all I really knew. And he was starting multiple businesses, doing all sorts of stuff. And I set a goal at a young age. I wanted to be rich. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to make money. And I remember I was in college. Because you're always told to work, right? Like, go get go work. You'll get it done. So in college, I started 6 businesses my first 2 years of college.
Whoa.
I did Chinese tutoring. I speak Mandarin Chinese.
Wow.
I did real estate wholesaling.
You gotta teach me.
A little bit of that. We did wholesaling. We built websites for people. We were doing all online marketing stuff. And finally, my dad grabs me by the whatever you want to call it, like the cuffs, and he goes, Bridger, you gotta get, you're kind of like a chicken with your head cut off. You need to go meet with one of my business partners. I said, okay. So I went over, I met with this guy, and I drive to his house, and this house is gorgeous. He's in this huge mansion. It's 10,000 square feet. He's got all these nice cars. And I come into his house, I sit down, we start to chat, and I just say, how did you do this? Like, how did you get, I kind of pointed to everything, like, how did you get all of this? And he kind of goes, Bridger, actually, not very many people ask me that question. And I was like, oh, shoot, like, you're not supposed to ask rich people that question. That's the one question I had. I was like, how did you do this? And he says, no, it's fine. Let me teach you about funds. Whoa. And the secrets of the rich. This is what rich families do. This is what the Romneys of the world, the Trump family, all these very rich families, they get their kids, they send them to Ivy League schools. they hope that they will work in private equity hedge funds and maybe even come back and run their family, they call it a family office, their family fund. And this is what they do. And then what I just mentioned, he taught me about funds. I was very intrigued. I said, how can I get involved in this? He said, go talk to your dad. Your dad knows about this way more than I do. And I was like, no. My dad, he drives a crappy car. We live in a small house.
Your dad's pretty mellow and conservative.
Yeah, he's very conservative, even today. And he's
not like Lambo dude.
No, not at all. And even, he's got plenty of money to do all that, but he just doesn't do it. And so I was like, no, I want to learn from you. You got the big house. He goes, Bridger, me and your dad are making about the same amount of money.
Oh.
And my job out dropped before. I was like, what? Like, come again? He's like, yeah, me and your dad are about equal business partners in this. And I left his house. I went straight to my dad's house. I was like, Dad, what the heck? Like, what's going on? Like, why have I not been able to order a soda at Chipotle for the past 5 years? Because it's too expensive, And that's just how they raised us. And he goes, well, Bridger, I wanted to raise kids that understood the value of money. And he lived, if you ever read the book Millionaire Next Door, that book, and he lived that to the T. And that book talks about there's millionaires that live next door to you, down the street. They have millions of dollars packed away. They don't show it. They're not very, they're not showy, but they like to save and invest their money. That's what he said. So anyways, long story short, my dad sat down and taught me about funds, how they worked. And I was in college, and I was very interested, very curious about launching a fund. The typical route to get into the fund space is you do very well in school, get an internship, you go do consulting or investment banking on Wall Street. You work for 2 years, you work your 100 hours a week. You do your MBA, and then you do 7 or 10 years more of experience, and then maybe you're ready to start a fund.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of a long journey, right? And I was on that path. I was like, okay, I'll do this. And I remember I got an internship at a great firm in Silicon Valley. I got a 6-figure offer to come work for him. Stock options, bonus, the whole 9 yards, and I was all excited for it. But then I looked at the two paths. And I looked at, I could do this for the next 10 years, right? The path of, MBA and going there and, working my 100 hours a week and traveling around the world. But then I looked at my dad. And a lot of his partners didn't do that route at all.
No, yeah.
Like my dad got C's and B's in college. Just been an entrepreneur his whole life.
Yeah, and his partner, friend of mine too.
Yeah.
Kind of just super charismatic and wonderful, right?
I don't think he even graduated college.
Yeah, dropout. Right?
Yeah, and so I was like, they got to the same place, the same goal, but a different route. And I thought, I wonder if I could do a different route. So sorry, I'm going a little bit long here, if that's okay.
No, this is great. This means you guys can do something similar. So
yeah,
that's what's cool.
So I'm 22 at the time. I remember I was at an old company I was working at. I had an idea that we could lend money to some of their clients. And I talked to the owners. They loved the idea. I talked to my dad. He loved it. We sat down. We formed this whole fund, got all ready to go. And I was like, hey, the one thing, my fund was ready to go, but I kind of forgot. The one thing you need for a fund is money, right? That's like the backbone of a fund is you need investors. And so I thought, my dad is rich. He loves me. He's helped me set up. He likes the fund. He doesn't spend his money. He likes to invest his money. He would love to invest in my fund. So I remember it was a late Sunday night. I had my whole fund. I was like, Dad, I sat down with him. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to go pitch my dad. So I walk in. I was like, Dad, I think. And I gave him the whole pitch, the whole spiel. And I said, Dad, how would you like to be our first investor, like in my best pitch voice possible? Mm-hmm. And he kind of laughs. He goes, Bridger, if I invest in your fund, I will ruin the experience of you raising money on your own. Oh. This is a crutch that you'll never be able to recover from. If I'm because it's always the first investor is always the hardest. Mm-hmm. He says, I'm not going to invest. You have to go figure this out on your own. And it was a tough love moment between me and my dad. And he kicked me out. He said, go do this on your own. So I took him up on the offer. I hit the streets. After, I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks of pitching investors, I raised a whopping $49,000.
That's not bad
for my first fund.
Week. Yeah.
So then I was like, and it was actually because we were doing these microloans. They were $5,000 to $7,000 a piece. So it was enough to get started.
Right.
So we're like, let's do it. So we started that first. It was this first micro syndicate kind of fund. But we got our first investors a 64% return on that first initial fund. And they loved it. And then we said, hey, let's launch an actual fund. And so we went and filed our Form D, launched a huge fund. Now we've deployed millions of dollars and scaled up a lot from there. But that's kind of how we started.
That's cool.
Super small. Man. And we're still doing these microloans. We've launched 2 funds. We have plans to launch a couple other funds here in the future, and we're growing to that. But that's kind of the path we've been on. It's been an incredible ride.
We're cooking up some secret stuff.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Secret, but
so yeah,
we'll tell you about it once it's launched.
Once it's launched, yeah.
This is so exciting, man. So that's how you got into entrepreneurship, from your dad being the frugal guy he is, and but letting you get your own scars on your face.
Yeah. Well, that was for my fund though. Was business try number 7 for me.
And all those other ones failed pretty.
They didn't fail.
Okay,
They made a couple, and I was making $3,000 a month
Mm-hmm.
on my one business, and our wholesaling. We made a couple. We did 2 wholesale deals, made $5,000 a piece. That's cool, $10,000.
Yeah.
In college, I was like, this is cool, right? Nothing crazy though, right? And those ones, some of them I just didn't like. I shut them down, or something happened, and anyways, that's kind of what happened. But yeah, this one's done very well, and we've launched a few other businesses since then that have done well.
And so you've taken all this knowledge now and you've canned it into a training type of website where people can actually learn how to do it from ABC, step 1, how to start.
Yeah.
And that.
So the reason we did that, so myself, I run a fund, right? My dad obviously ran a lot of funds. They have, I think, 107 funds they run right now currently. I mean, it's 3,000 employees. They just crush it.
It's crazy.
My brother is a securities attorney, licensed in New York for funds. He's the chief compliance officer of a $400 million fund in Utah.
Whoa.
And so between the 3 of us, we've got, we're the fund family, right? Like at Sunday dinner, we sit down and talk funds, like SEC and stuff. And I don't think a lot of people do that. I didn't
Are the
realize.
women in your family like your mom's like?
Oh my gosh, yeah,
man, like just eat your turkey.
my wife is so sick of can we not talk about interest rates or the Fed or for Sunday dinner? But we had a lot of people start to reach out to us and ask us, how'd you guys do this? How'd you get into the fund space? Because all of us kind of did it unconventionally. And so we started a podcast. We have an online platform and training program that helps.
Thanks for inviting me on the podcast. You guys see me. We're talking about
Dan's already been on my podcast. Great episode. You guys can go check that out.
Where's the podcast at? What's it called?
Investment Fund Secrets is the name of our podcast.
You can find that pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere. It's on. And so you can just search up Dan Young and Investment Fund Secrets.
It's pretty cool because I was listening to the podcast right came on the podcast. And it's short, concise, super spelled out knowledge of how to do it. I mean, and explaining all these terms that seem foreign to people.
Yeah. Yeah, we do some interviews. About every 10th episode we do an interview, so you're pretty lucky to be on the interview. Yeah, I was I want Dan to be on there. But then we do 6-minute nuggets of just this is what you need to know for a fund. And then we have a whole program. We have a mastermind program and stuff that we help people just launch and scale their funds. That's kind of the goal of it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the people have taken your course, learned about funds. What are some of the fun ones that are winning really good?
So yeah, there's actually a couple. We started this. We didn't know, right? I was like, well, it's good in education. I just don't know if people will actually apply what you're teaching and apply what you're learning. So right now, we have a top level mastermind group. We've got we've got a couple hundred people in there now that have joined, and they all of our training videos and stuff. So a couple people that have done really well. So one guy with non-bond investments, they started in March of this year. So that's COVID. COVID had just hit.
That's like the
you think that's the worst time to start a fund, right? To date, in about 6.5 months, they've already raised in the bank. They have $100 million in the bank right now from zero.
Wow.
They were at zero in February.
Wow.
They're at $100 million in the bank right now.
Crazy.
And he was telling me, he's like, we've got another $250 million coming in, and they're doing trading. They're a hedge fund, so they trade. I believe it's S&P. I don't know exactly what they trade and stuff, but they pretty cool. Another guy, he did house flipping in Texas for a while. Flipped a couple houses. He now just launched a fund. They're going to flip 72 houses in the next 2 years. He just raised $2.5 million, looking to raise $5 million.
This is a new fund.
He launched it in July. This is during COVID. These people are launching funds.
Pandemic funds.
Yeah, these are pandemic funds. Another guy.
These guys are making crazy income.
Oh, they're doing very well. Yeah, with a $100 million fund. Yeah, you're making pretty good. If you have just a 2% management fee, that's $2 million a year plus all your returns. They're probably on that alone every year making $8 to $10 million.
And these aren't guys with 10-year degrees and all this kind of stuff.
They're all from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
All of them are way different. And it's kind of fun. We've kind of had this little corner of the internet of all these people that have done well investing in other places. And I just say, hey, if you're a good trader, you trade in your personal account, it's $10,000 or $20,000. If it's doing well, just scale with a fund. Or if you're flipping houses going well, you flip 2 houses a year. Why not flip 20 or 30 houses a year?
And more ammunition to do it, right?
Or partner with somebody who's good like that. So that's, anyway, some good success stories from our group. Yeah.
This is amazing. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit. So during this learning process from your small child to fund Jedi, what's the biggest challenge that you've had, the biggest hurdle you've had to overcome in putting together funds or whatever it may be on your way to where you are?
Yeah, I think, and especially, you're saying specifically for funds or just entrepreneurship?
Whatever it is,
just whatever.
Overall, the biggest painful lesson,
Yeah, I think and it's kind of cheesy to say this, but everyone says it, but it's mindset, right? The biggest hurdle for me was turning down that 6-figure offer in Silicon Valley. right?
Oh, yeah.
I've got stock options. I got a comfy job. I got health care. They're going to fly, all this great stuff to say, you know what? I'm looking at paths in life. There's paths for all sorts of stuff, right? You can copy what successful people do. Especially right now. I think we were talking about this a few weeks ago. There are so many people online, especially with the internet right now, where you can just watch what you've done. Watch what you've done, right? Since you were 19 years old till now, what did Dan do and how did he get to where he's at? And I was looking at that path of the Silicon Valley, 6-figure salary, and I thought, man, I talked to some people that were 10 years down the road or 20 years, and I was like, man, I don't want to be like them.
They weren't super.
I was like, man, they
did
the route and they wrote their ticket and they did all this good stuff. And I mean, they're still working the 9 to 5. They're still trying to get that promotion at the end of the year. They're not financially free. They're not they're always, And I just thought, man, I'm going to take a different route. And so I decided to copy what other successful people were doing. And that was, for me though, that was probably a big roadmap, turning that offer down.
What was the catalyst? How'd you convince yourself of this?
Well, I'd started a few businesses. We'd already started my fund.
Oh, yeah.
And it was going well. And I could see the vision here. And I remember talking to my dad and brother and all family and stuff about it. And we had very low expenses, right? I'm very under leveraged. And I just looked at it and said, you know what? The opportunity cost of that is huge. And one of my brother-in-law, very successful guy, multimillionaire, and he told me this changed my life. And he said, Bridger, you're 23 or whatever, 24, 22, whatever. He goes, right now is the best time in your life to start a business. You'll never have a time in your life where you don't have a ton of kids or family obligations or a big mortgage or other things holding you down. You're probably the healthiest you'll ever be, and no one really expects that much from you. You're like 22, right?
So if you mess up a little bit, people will be like, he's young.
Yeah, if you lose it all, okay, you lost $5,000. Big deal, right?
Yeah.
You can start over. And that flipped me. He goes, when you're 45 and you got 3 kids and you got a big house, that's a different risk versus when you're 22, you're not married.
Pay the bills,
you got to pay the bills, right? And I thought, wow, okay, you know what? I don't want to live with regret, and I'm going to go after it. So
that's pretty cool. So what's some strategy and some actions you would share with the audience to help them on their road to replicating similar success?
Yeah, so I'll talk specifically for a fund, since that's got my expertise a little bit. With funds, specifically, if you're listening to this, I want to start a fund or I'm interested in that space. We have a 4-step formula we call it the fund launch formula to help people launch funds. The traditional route if you're on a Wall Street banker or something to launch a fund, this is what they do. They have an idea and they go, okay, great, we love this idea. Let's go hire some lawyers. Typical lawyer costs for a fund are $30,000 minimum up to about $100,000.
Whoa.
To launch your fund, to just get your documents, right? So they'll pay these lawyers, they'll get their documents set up, and then they take those documents to investors. They see if they can get money. If they don't raise any money, well, shoot, I guess, sorry, you're stuck with your $30,000 legal bill, and then you go back to work.
Oh,
that's how they do it, right? The way we teach people how to do it, that's the way I launched my fund, the way my dad taught me how to do it. And a lot of people I brought on my show, actually, they use the same formula. They didn't call it the fund launch formula, but they use this. And the step 1, which we've been doing too, is find incredible deals. And this is the example my dad gave me. He said, Bridger, imagine we found a Lamborghini Aventador in Billings, Montana, and we could buy it on Saturday morning for $50,000, okay? And let's say it's all checked out. We have a mechanic look at it. This is legit. This is not, the lady selling it, she's just going into bankruptcy, but it's $50,000 by Saturday. We have a verified buyer in California that could buy this car for $200,000 Monday morning. Okay. Just go with me as an example. Okay. He goes, you can't use any of your own money. Could you raise $50,000 by Saturday morning? He asked me this. And I thought about it. I go, everything's checked out. He goes, everything's checked out. And I go, well, it's guaranteed. $150,000 this weekend. He's $150,000. I thought, you know what? I could talk to a former boss or a friend or an aunt, or I was like, you know what? I think I could raise $50,000. I could do that. Mm-hmm. It's all guaranteed. Yeah. He goes, okay, what about $100,000? And I kind of thought about it, and I thought, yeah, you know what? $100,000. We're gonna make $100,000 this weekend. Yeah, I'm in. Yeah, I could raise $100,000. I could beat the streets, whatever I need to do. I could raise $100,000. And he goes, why? And I go, well, it's foolproof. You said it was foolproof. It's guaranteed, right? It's guaranteed. I make $100,000. He goes, aha, there it is. What do you mean? He goes, the deal was so good.
Oh yeah.
5 minutes ago, you were all worried. I can't raise money. No one will believe me. I don't have a college degree. I'm too young, right? That was all the things I had inside of me. And he goes, all of a sudden, you're confident now that you could raise $100,000 by Saturday morning. And he goes, because the deal was so good. So the step one of any fund or anything, like find an incredible deal.
Okay.
And by deal, I mean it could be a trading algorithm, it could be a crypto strategy, it could be a real estate project, right? Find that deal, and then a lot of people at this point want to go hire a lawyer. Okay, we found the great deal, let's go hire lawyers, get all set up. It's like, hold on. Before you do that, something my dad taught me, I thought was incredible. Before you go spend the 30 grand, frame your fund out. Step 2, frame it out. Get your pitch decks ready to go. Run the Excel documents. Run all the numbers. Make sure it's full. See how everyone's going to get paid on the deal, and then go and pitch investors. And I was like, wait, how am I going to pitch investors, right? If I don't have fund docs, like my legal stuff. He goes, this is how you do it. So you walk in, you get soft commitments from these investors. You say, hey, Mrs. Johnson, we're pitching you on this fund idea. We think it's this Lamborghini is awesome. The legal docs are going to be done in a couple weeks. But if everything checks out, can we put you down for $500,000? And that's how they pitch.
Wow.
And they go, hey, you're smart. We're not from Harvard, but look at the deal, right? Look at the deal that we're looking at and try to poke holes in it. And if you can't poke holes in it, it's got to be pretty good. And you can bring on your partner or friend, whoever's good at real estate, whatever the project is, poke holes in it. And if it all checks out, can we put you down for $500,000? 9 times out of 10, as my dad was telling me, that when they raised their first $100 million fund, they looked at the deal over the degree.
Whoa.
Harvard guys will walk in and say, hey, we're from Harvard. We're so smart. This is why this is going to work. Guys like us that are entrepreneurs have to walk in and say, here's the deal. This is how everyone's going to make money. This is foolproof. And let's go in. And it's actually very easy to raise money. So you raise the money there. Let's say you raise a couple $1 million. Then and only then you do your legal docs.
Step 3 is docs then.
Step 4. So step 3 is pitching investors. So 1, find the deal. 2, frame it out. 3, pitch investors. And then 4, then go do your legal docs. And the best part is your investors are paying you to build a fund for them.
So your step 4 is get the money. Or what's step 4?
So step 4 is legal docs.
Oh,
so
legal.
1 is find the deal, the Lambo.
Okay.
2, I kind of went over it fast. 2 is frame the deal out. So get your pitch deck ready to go, run the numbers. 3, go get in the investor room. Go do 20 pitches.
So I did. You were telling me this when we went on that little retreat thing.
Yeah.
So I found some deals, some ideas, right? And I've done a couple projects, right? These commercial projects we're talking about.
Yeah.
And pulled some of the math from that, right?
Yeah.
Gave you some of the math on that. So that was cool. I kind of framed out a little bit of how that looked like. And I had this lunch with like 4 other entrepreneur people, tech nerd dudes, right? But they don't know how to do kind of what I did with this real estate.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, see this? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, I did that. It took me like 3 years, but I could probably do it like in a little bit less because I know how to do it now. And this is how much we made. If I could find a few more deals like this, would you be interested in being part of that? And all of them said yes. I got $3 million in commitments and a lunch.
Wow. Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, man, put it together, man. When you're ready to rock, let's rock.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that's you followed it to a T.
So
that's it.
So we framed it, pitched it,
Yep.
and now we just need legal docs.
And then get your legal docs, yep. Get it set up. Yep, exactly.
It's not that hard.
It's not that hard, yeah.
Well, especially if you have something proven, right, and the math makes sense.
And you've already done a few of these, which is even better, right? The model's already proven. The deal has already been done a couple times. Yeah, it's huge. And then, get your legal docs set up, and then especially it can be a write-off for the fund. It's an asset of the fund. You can just write it off against that $3 million. And you're out of, you didn't put any money in for the
Is it
legal
normal
docs.
to go viral? So I had these 3 guys commit $1 million, right? At least 5 guys. And then the other 4 is like, hey, can you give us more information on that? But what was weird out of those 3 guys, they already started chattering with other guys about it because they're already excited about it.
Yeah.
So there's like 4 other guys that are like, hey, Dan, can we go lunch and talk about what you're doing maybe?
Yeah.
Because that sounds pretty cool. So is that how it goes? Is it just...
Yeah, there's one rule with funds. Most funds, you cannot publicly advertise your fund.
Oh.
So on this podcast, we are not advertising our fund. And that's how 99% of the world. So you'll never see a Blackstone billboard or a KKR. These are the largest funds
Just like
in the
word
world.
of mouth?
It's word of mouth.
From people who know people?
Yeah, or it's your personal network.
Okay.
Right? And so that's exactly how it goes. Oh yeah.
Wow.
And it's crazy how much money you can raise off of a personal network, or as a friend of a friend, or you go to networking events, you meet people. It's not, but you can't broadly advertise. But yeah, it's exactly how it goes.
Wow.
So you followed it to a T. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, there it is. Yep.
Man, it works.
Yeah, and then you get the legal docs set up, you get that all formed, and then you get your money in, and then you can start buying properties. Yeah.
Man, this is so cool. I'm gonna shift gears. ADD, man.
Yeah.
What's the most common reason people fail at anything? Like, what's your theory on
In
it?
anything.
Yeah, just why do they fail?
I would say either lack of knowledge, But typically, I think it's lack of, well, I'm just thinking about myself, right? Why have I failed this stuff? Lack of discipline and lack of knowledge. I would say the
Knowledge
two.
and discipline.
And what about, by knowledge, I mean, and usually it's a combination of your discipline, right? If you don't have the right knowledge, you didn't have enough discipline to go find it or ask. I think, and what I mean by knowledge is not like a PhD degree or something, but it's exploring what you're going into. Mm-hmm. So for me, if I was going to launch a crypto fund, I don't know a lot about crypto. I like crypto. I think it's cool, but I don't know enough to like launch a crypto fund, right? Mm-hmm. So if I failed at crypto, I would say it'd be a lack of me discovering that or mm-hmm. asking and finding other people who are already successful at it, right? Mm-hmm. Doing my due diligence on it. But those would be my 2 quick answers, yeah.
That's an interesting one. But I was thinking about this too. So the discipline is really the key because you see a lot of people on social media posting all kinds of stuff, mm-hmm. right? Some of these guys are teaching things that they've actually not done. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed that? Like, mm-hmm. I'm an influencer. I'm going to teach you how to scale your business and build millions of dollars, and they're not really. It's all theoretical. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's how sometimes college is too. You know, you have these professors that haven't actually done anything. Yeah. But they went to school.
I hate that. So, oh my gosh, that's college. That was the worst thing ever. Was a PhD professor. They're a professor because they couldn't find a job in anything else. Mm-hmm. Oh well, I'll just be a professor. I'll just teach, right? Oh, I hate that with professors.
There's a question that I ask actually. You know, all these dudes are financial advisors and they want to show you how to do this. But I say, hey, and if they want a lot of my money, I say, well, how much do you make? Can I see your tax returns? Yeah. And if they're not significantly more accomplished, it's unlikely that they can teach you, right?
Why would you hire a poor person to manage your to manage your
that's
money,
like an unhealthy personal trainer.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, you don't that
doesn't make sense.
I don't look like you.
Yeah, exactly.
The second thing that I see as a big problem is a lot of people get the knowledge actually, or just dabble in the knowledge, and they post about it, and they post. Have you seen these people like on social media that post about these really great quotes and all that kind of stuff, but they're not like executing any of it, so they're in the exact same place 5 years from now because they forgot what you're talking about, discipline to execute what happened. Yeah. How do you?
Can I add on to that?
Yeah,
too?
yeah.
With our business, me and my business partner were talking about this last week.
Yeah.
We're both young guys. And we've launched multiple businesses together. Some of those 6 business tries were some with him. And we failed and we were doing stuff, but we said the one thing we're good at is execution.
Ooh, can I add that to that?
Sure, yeah. I think execution. And that's, I think that was, we were talking about this and we said, when we have an idea, let's launch like this new product. Like we'll set a date in 2 weeks and we get it done. Like we actually launch. It's not going to be perfect. It's not the most pretty thing you've ever seen, but it's launched and it's out there. And then we, can figure some stuff out from there. A great example of that is how we launched our investment fund secrets, what we're doing right now.
You're telling me.
Did I tell you the story a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
Because we launched other businesses, and this is how a lot of people launch businesses. They have an idea, they go source the widget in China, and then they figure it out, and they build the whole prototype, and they got it all ready, and it takes them 6 months of R&D, and they got to order in inventory, and they sell it, okay? We had tried that a few times, and we broke even, or we lost a little bit of money. So we said, screw that, okay, that's what we're doing. We said we have a $500 ad budget for Facebook ads. We built, I think it was like 4 ads. I filmed it with my iPhone. We built a landing page and a checkout page, and that was it. No product. We haven't even built a product.
Wow.
But we had all the pictures of the product, and we made it look, and it was an info. It was a product to learn how to start funds. And we said, we're just going to see if people like this. So we spent $500 on ads. People ran to our funnel, whatever, went through it. We saw the opt-in rates. We could see how it all worked, right? Was our messaging right? We tested a few things. And $500 of ads, actually, if you spend it the right way, it goes a long way. So we were very meticulous about every dollar that got spent. We made, on that $500, $1,800 back.
Whoa.
And we were like, this is sweet. And we emailed everybody. We said, hey, the product is not done yet. We were very honest. It's not done yet. If you want a refund, you can have your money back. However, the product will be done in 14 days, and we'll have it to you.
Wow.
And so a couple people did refund, but most people said, yeah, you know what, I'll wait 14 days. And we went to work then, right? We were like, okay, this is working. This is actually a good, and we kept spending money.
You're building this airplane on the way.
Yeah, exactly. And we built the whole product. We launched to our people, and they loved it. And then we kept selling it and selling it and selling it. And this is it was a $47 product we were selling, but we could test to see if the market liked it. Most people spend a year building up to that moment of, okay, we're going to launch our first ad. We did the exact opposite. We launched all of our ads. And then guess what? If it didn't work, okay, we lost $500 and a week of our life.
It's smart though because you made that action forward.
We just executed. We just said we're going to make stuff happen. I have a couple of friends that are launching businesses right now, and they're doing this whole year of well, I think that's such a great idea. And I'm like, have you tested it? Have you tested your audience on Facebook or Instagram? Have you tested with ads? Has anybody bought it yet? Or done like I love like Kickstarter model or something like that. And they go, no, I can't do that yet. I'm like, what if you get the whole product and it doesn't sell? Right? So anyways, that's what I would say, back to your question, execution on that. And that's what we've said. We're not the smartest guys in the world, but we'll launch.
I want to share a similar story, guys, in selling just physical goods. Back in '92 was interesting. There was an Army office local, and they needed computers, and they needed all the special networking stuff and all that, right? And so I could provide that. It was like 30 guys in this office, right? So we delivered that, and I was like, that was easy. They didn't really even argue with me on price because it was government money. And they made the process easy, and they ended up just giving me the credit card, and we ran it, and we got them their 30 computers.
Yeah, cool.
But one of the guys there, like sergeant dude, he's like, you should hit every office. So they had this big regional thing with all these different Army requisition guys. And I went there, and I'm like, we want to take care of the whole California region. And there's a lot of offices, thousands and thousands. And I'm like, and what we've done in this office is like this, and we can supply this and network all this. And I was like, man, I'm going to have to hire 50 guys. So they're like, okay, let's do it. And so they set up this requisition order.
Wow.
Request for purchase order. And we got it. And then I just had to hire like freaking nuts.
Oh, yeah.
And we built this thing.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about the Army is they have really good long timelines and stuff. So we had 6 months to implement it. Implemented this, and then it was weird because the guy from the California office calls the guy in Connecticut, and the guy in Connecticut calls the guy in Washington. And so suddenly we're doing like most of the Army.
Wow. Yeah.
And it was interesting. Exactly to your point is if you prove it, you know you work, you've done a test on it, then you should really go and scale it. Like you should go freaking crazy. This is we've been mentoring a little bit on how to build sales teams.
That's been awesome.
I want to share it with you guys here as something I think might help you.
It's teaching me a lot. Yeah.
So when you're building a call center of salespeople, whether it's on the phone or face to face, the first thing you want to do is hire a guy or girl, right? You write a script of how they're gonna sell your product, right? So you have the whole thing from qualifying, building relationships, offering the prices, and then closing the deal, right? And then following through. So you write this, and we talked about how you being the best sales guy in your company as you're building a sales team, you should write the template, right? But once you've tested it on one salesperson, then I always say, and the profit is there, right? So like you put 500, you got 1,800 out in your ads. Well, if you pay the salesperson $3,000, $5,000 or whatever, and you got 10, 15 grand coming out, you should definitely hire another one just to make sure that human's not an anomaly. But if you got a couple people that are completely from different circles and they're doing that, your script works. And then you really need to hire up. So I would say double that sales force every single week and just watch your profitability per person. And just like scaling a fund or doing anything, it's that simple. But the problem a lot of people do is they scale too slow, right? And so they're like 10 years into it. I got 3 sales dudes, and they're wondering why they're being surpassed by their competitors. Right?
Interesting.
So it's the same thing.
No, I like that a lot. That's really good. I think too, a lot of questions. I think people like this. The question I had before I had a business that was making money, making a couple $1 million a year, and I was like, wow, that's so cool. That's great. But before that, I was like, shoot, kept trying stuff, it wouldn't work, and it's easy to get down on your luck or feel like, maybe it's just maybe I'm not. It's not for me, right? And I think when we did that launch, we've done other launches since then, 6-figure, well over 6-figure launches, like in a weekend, or closing on a big deal for our fund or something like that, is so interesting because I think a lot of people listening, man, I can't believe these entrepreneurs, like someone like Dan has so much energy all day. How does he wake up and just have all this energy? And I think it's when you taste blood. Like when you taste that money, like when we tasted that money, it was $1,800. Like that's nothing, right? But it was like, hey, our product's working. Like we just like tripled our money. Right? When you taste blood, then it's easy to wake up and get out of bed in the morning. It's really easy to work 12-hour days. It's really easy to do pretty much all that.
Momentum builds momentum, right?
Yeah, the momentum just goes, and it's not like you were just born. Some people are like, you're born just energetic, I feel like.
No, man, I was the most passive, quiet kid.
Were you really?
Oh,
really, huh? Bad. So maybe that's a testament to this. But when you
we were
taste
poor
blood,
too, is what we're like, lower middle class, drove crappy cars, parents had crappy cars, lived in a modest house type of thing, Same thing though.
Yeah. But I think when you taste blood, you taste money, the momentum's there and you'll work however many hours it takes and it's really fun. And it's a super good time, yeah. So
You know, there's a big catalyst too. A lot of you guys watching this are completely broke. Some of you have millions of dollars, you know, you're making every single year. But the biggest thing I think holds people back about making money is subconscious thoughts of negativity of money. So like when you ask somebody, what is money to you? And they say pain, evil, and those kind of things, they typically will never have money. And so what I like to do is reframe that, you know. I don't think it's been a major problem, you know, for guys like you too, because your dad is just naturally now in that momentum. And you're like, okay, it's good, because and your dad gives a lot to charity and helps all these things. But we never really, you know, had money, and my parents had this negative connotation. And how I broke through that, it was a question a mentor asked me is, Dan, he said, money, you know, makes an evil man worse. You've heard that one. It makes a good man better. What are you going to do to help the world with it? You know, and that's the secondary catalyst fuel, because when I was younger, I didn't really care about helping the world at all. I just wanted to make millions of dollars. But once you got there making millions of dollars, your happiness level wasn't really much different, because you could get anything you want. But what made me happy, and this is why I started like Millionaire Code, is being able to give back and teach people that maybe are in a beginning stage, intermediate or advanced stage, how to go to that next level. And you guys know the fee for this podcast is share it with those that could benefit, that maybe are having a tough time and are inspired. And the second thing is give 10% of your net gain and give that to a great charity. I think it's so critical to give.
Life,
you know,
it's a good way to. It's a good way to live. And I'm not by no means an expert. I'm 25 years old. You know, I'm still on this path. You're
pretty smart. You're like 25 with your brain on going on 50, man.
But it is. I've heard that same mentality of, if you give when you're poor, you'll definitely give when you're rich. And me and my wife have set a few goals of even just small numbers. We're gonna take $25 a week and give it to somebody at the grocery store or something like that, or pay for someone's groceries. So it's a fun way to spend money. It's a really fun way. It's way more satisfying than buying a pair of shoes. Or something.
That giving thought is in your DNA. I was sitting down with your dad the other day, and we were talking about how we can give, you know, to help. And so it's cool. It's cool to be able to do that, to help other people. I want to summarize some of this wisdom here. The most common reason people fail is lack of knowledge, discipline, and we added execution. So I want you guys to write that down, and remember, that's like the magic recipe of having a lot lower chance of failing, right? And I want to also summarize the knowledge you taught about the 4 steps of putting a fund together. 1, find deals, right? 2, frame up your fund of what it's going to do the math, so it's like makes sense. 3, pitch the heck out of it. And then 4, get your legal docs together. Right? So that's as easy. 1, 2, 3, 4.
There it is. Well, that comes back to the other of launching a business, right? That's the same thing. You launch, get the money first, get that blood, taste that blood, and then the momentum will be there. Everything else falls into place. You'll work like crazy to get it set up.
So is there any last piece of advice you'd like to leave to the guys and girls watching this?
I would say, well, a few things. Is number 1, there is so much money in the world right now. You have the Fed pumping trillions of dollars into our markets. You've got, there is so much, and I don't know if you were talking about this a little bit before. There's, for raising money, raising a fund, I've been able to see this of how much money is out there and how much money people are willing to throw at projects. We live in the best time in the history of the planet to start a business. If you're in the Middle Ages, right, you had to be born into a lord or lady's household to have land, right? Think about the history of the world. There's never been a better time than 2020, even with all the crap going on, 2020 to launch a business and to make money.
Especially raising, when you're talking about raising money, I was just thinking about this too, is right now there's a big separation of class happening. The really wealthy are getting really wealthy. But here's the thing. And you could look at it as a bad thing and be like, those people are evil. But if all the really wealthy have a ton of excess cash, they want to reinvest that. So someone who's not so wealthy, like when you and I started, and we have an idea that we can make tangible, they want to put that money into there, and they don't care if we keep a few percentages of that.
They love it,
So having a small percentage of $100 million or $1 billion, even if you get like 2%,
It's great money.
And you don't even need like a 10-year degree to get it.
Yep. Yeah, it's a great, yeah.
Okay, sorry to
There's
cut
a
you
lot
off.
of, no, I
want
totally
to hear
agree.
the rest of the...
But I totally agree with that, though. I think a lot of wealthy individuals are looking, like you mentioned, to give back in some way, shape, or form. If you are working your 9 to 5 at XYZ company, you are not in a position to capture that opportunity. You're not putting yourself, it's like walking through a rainstorm, and you got the umbrella up, and the rain's going, and you're trying to catch rain, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a bucket out there and be in the game. I think there's a lot of value in moving forward in progress. This is something we talked about my dad a lot today, something he's drilled in my brain since I was 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Bridger, every time we went to a Chinese restaurant or somewhere, he'd go, do you see the people running this place?
Mm-hmm.
And he would say, I don't know if maybe you have this experience or not with your family, but he would say, like, there's people from Nigeria, people from South Africa or Cambodia or Korea, wherever they're from. They'll move to the United States. They can barely speak English. Mm-hmm. But in 4 to 5 years, they've got 2 businesses set up, a laundromat. They've got a third business, something on the side.
Apartments.
They got apartment. Like they're making great money.
That's what my parents did. They came here with like $0.
Yeah.
Janitors cleaning floors at General Motors, and then scaled.
Yeah. And he goes, if they can do it, you have no reason not to be successful, especially in America right now in 2020 with all the opportunity out there.
It's crazy.
And he goes, and it's like an analogy of a baseball game, right? You got to get up to the plate and swing. As long as you keep swinging the bat. Most people in life sit on the sidelines. They're on Twitter. They make fun. They poke fun at people. They have the peanut gallery. Very few people get up to the plate and swing the bat. And I just thought if I could just keep swinging the bat, it was on my 7th try where I actually made some money. 7th swing, right? But I thought, eventually I'm gonna strike out a few times. But yeah, I'll hit a single. Maybe I'll hit a double. Maybe I'll hit a home run. But millionaires are made off of single hits as well. And so
sometimes lots of them just
little dingers, right? But it's the fact of being in the game, right? And having the mentality of I'm in the game.
It's almost about going on the offense or the defense, though, because with today's COVID environment, you see a lot of people bury their head in the sand waiting for the government to write them a check.
Yeah.
Right? But then you see people like, this is the greatest opportunity of all time, even if they're totally broke.
Yeah.
And they're swinging the bat, like you say, and they start winning.
Mm-hmm.
And the great thing is, if 50% or more people have their head in the sand, you have less competition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you're just willing to swing the bat, and the other team has less people swinging the bat, man,
you're in a good spot.
Your odds are good, right?
Well, and it's funny, let's talk about stimulus for a second.
Yeah.
I know maybe you want to close up.
No.
That couple weeks when the stimulus started hitting people's bank accounts, our sales went through the roof.
Us too.
Yeah. I was like, this is great. Like
Yeah.
and I disagree with the stimulus money, actually, a lot of ways. I don't know. I just look at economics, that just hurts things economically.
It's not a good thing. Right?
So anyways, we can talk about that for a while, but I'm like, well, if the government wants to give me money, that's totally fine, because I have my hat out ready to catch it. And so I'm like, okay, well, it'll just go into my pocket. So yeah, more stimulus, great, because it's just going to go to my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
All the people that are going to get it are just going to spend it.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyways, back to kind of what we were saying about your final advice is that's what my dad taught me. So that you have no reason not to be successful. If you can speak English, you have 2 parents, you were born in this country. Even with 2020 going on, there's so much knowledge, so much, you just gotta try. And so that changed my life, and I think you're going to have my dad on in the future on this show as well. But
yeah, just a little bit.
Incredible mentor, incredible guy. You'll be able to hear from him. But yeah, that's what I would leave you with.
I love your energy because you've taken it to a fresh level, all that family knowledge, and transferred it, and then rehoned it, and made it really ready for the next decade or two of growth. It's very, very new and innovative. So, where can people find you, brother?
So, Investment Fund Secrets is the name of our podcast, our show. You can go see Dan's interview on there. My name is Bridger Pennington, so Bridger_Pennington on Instagram. I usually respond to most DMs I get right now, and so if you just want to hit me up on there. But Investment Fund Secrets, we have a whole 1-hour training. We got a bunch of content online. You guys can learn about funds or learn about how to get your fund off the ground.
You watch your first video, and you're like, man, I want to learn more. It's very addictive. I gotta like learn how to do that and replicate that addictiveness of
it's a
watching one piece to another.
So yeah, we're trying to just give good nuggets because nobody talks about this online. Like nobody talks about funds, and it was very frustrating for us, for even me launching a fund. If I didn't have my dad, there's no way I could do this. And it's this secret, wealthy people, where the rich families of the world don't want to share this with other people.
They think this is the secrets of the Illuminati, but it's not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But once they go to your site, spend a little time there,
Yeah.
you will teach them more, I think, in watching 30 minutes of videos in like a year of college.
We've actually had a few people say that.
That's what I got. I was like, whoa.
This one girl came on. She's been an analyst at JP Morgan for 3 years. Did an MBA at Ivy League school. Said I learned more in your 1 hour than all of that combined. Because people just don't, a lot of people that even work at these big funds don't even know how the fund works. They just run their one little thing. They don't even know how the whole fund structure works together. So and that's what we try to do.
Man, that's so awesome. So they can find you at those websites. Bridger, thanks, man.
Dan, thanks for having me on. It was fun.
Hey, guys and girls, if you found this podcast valuable, I ask you to do a few things. One, execute, as Bridger was saying. Execute. 2, share this with your friends and loved ones. And 3, if you execute this knowledge and you make some extra cash, extra few $1 million as you go, take 10% of your gains and give it to a great charity. We've always supported Operation Underground Railroad and Nuzzles & Co. to save the cats and dogs. Thanks again for visiting us. Next week, I'll have another Super Jedi to share some knowledge with you. Thank you for being on Dan's Millionaire Code.